The book that we call the Holy Bible is perhaps the most enigmatic, the most mysterious book ever written. It is so enigmatic, in fact, that the number of denominations worldwide is estimated to be over 40,000 denominations, which is a staggering amount of denominations when you consider that all of these denominations are using this book called the Holy Bible as its source book for spiritual instruction, for spiritual understanding, for spiritual inspiration. Now, the Bible itself tells us its purpose. It tells us the purpose for which it was written. And 2 Timothy 3:16 tells us this: all scripture is inspired by God and is profitable, and there's a key word here, profitable, for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, and for instruction in righteousness. And for what purpose? That the man of God may be whole and complete, lacking nothing. Now, my question is, do we know how to read? And I'm not trying to be funny here. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions. But when we consider what it actually says, and then consider the primary purpose for which we use the Bible, and although it talks about Christ, the primary reason, the primary use of the Bible for Christian people, for religious people, is to understand how this material world came about, how the physical world we live in, how it came to be. And the Bible doesn't tell us that at all. That is not among the things for which the Bible is profitable. And so we've been taking down a whole lot of blind alleys in our attempts to understand the book. Now, the book has a purpose for which it is written, and if we don't understand it, how in the world are we going to get the information out of it that was intended for us to get out of it? Okay, the writers of the Bible intended that the Bible make us whole and complete from a spiritual standpoint. Now, one of the greatest German philosophers in history, Arthur Schopenhauer, makes this statement regarding truth, and I actually love this quote. Listen to it. All truth goes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And finally, it is accepted as self-evident. And if you look throughout history, you see what the greatest people in the world have done in disengaging, from the status quo, from societal norms. And I'm going to be so bold as to claim that it is my intention to bring to you the same sort of paradigm shift in terms of the Bible, in terms of the reason for the Bible, how the Bible is constructed, and what it is designed for. And what I hope to help you to understand is that indeed the Bible is allegory. Now, people make claims about that, but I'm going to show you through the Bible's own pages that it is indeed allegory, that its messages are designed to instruct us on the spiritual plane. Now, another thing that it's important to understand about the Bible is that, contrary to an understanding that it is something that happens after you die and you go up into heaven somewhere, the Bible is a now book. It is a book that tells us how to live life on this plane, on the earth plane. Okay. In Matthew, it tells us, take no thought for tomorrow. And yet the entire belief of the Western world as it relates to religion, as it relates to the Bible, is that everything happens after we die. But what does Christ tell us? We're told that now is the acceptable time. Now is the day of salvation. It is not somewhere down the road. It is a now event. It is now that the scriptures are concerned with. It is not after you die. And so this is a very, very critical point that we need to understand. Okay. I understand why we look at the Bible that way, but the fact of the matter is, this is not what the Bible is telling us. Furthermore, when the Bible speaks about salvation, and again, this is a concept that we see that we interpret as something that happens after you die. But what the Bible is telling us is that salvation is knowing God and knowing Christ. And again, these are now events. We're not going to wait until after we die to know who and what God is. God is not a concept that you're going to get by sitting in some church, some sanctuary, some synagogue, some mosque over a period of 30, 40, 50 years, whatever, and think that you're going to understand it. God, the concept of God is experiential, it is empirical, it is something that you come in contact with, and then you begin to understand, you begin to know because you have personal direct experience. And this is what knowledge is. Many people confuse knowledge with information. Okay, you sit in in an audience somewhere, you sit in a church or somewhere where you're getting information. People are trying to tell you things. And we think that because people are telling us things, that we know something because they've told us. First of all, you have to understand, scripture says that cursed be the man that trusts in man. And so if you are expecting to get your knowledge from another individual, then you're going to be extraordinarily disappointed because we cannot get anything from another individual but information. And the only thing that we can do with any information that we receive, any external information, we can either accept it or we can reject it. We can say we believe it or we don't believe it, but we can't know it without our direct personal experience of it. But this is how, in general, this is our approach to knowledge. We think that because somebody gave us information that we all of a sudden we know something. But that is an impossibility. We can't know it because we haven't experienced it. When we experience God, then we will know God. And prove me now herewith, saith God. We read that and think we understand. But unless we are actually doing what the scriptures are imploring us to do, then we cannot understand and we will never know, though we think we know. And this is why the entire world, wherever we are, whatever the religion, whatever denomination, everyone thinks his own watch is right. Everyone thinks that because he knows or because he believes something, because he's been taught something by another individual and he's accepted it as truth, that this is the truth. And so he gives us information. And Mark Twain, he has a saying, and again, I love it. He says, it is not the things you don't know that get you into trouble. It is the things that you know for sure that just ain't so. And how true that is. All you have to do is look at the current landscape of the world in terms of the things that we know or think we know. And so when all is said and done, so much of what we believe is based on a faulty foundation. And this is exactly what I attempt to do, is to decode the scriptures, to show that they're allegory, that the 1,000 pages of the Bible, and that's a lot of pages, and that means that's a lot of words. But the book is an excavation. And as you go through the book, you'll find, because the Bible defines its symbols. We don't have to be in the dark about anything. The Bible defines its symbols. It tells us what is meant. Because if we don't understand the book, it is impossible for us to gain the lessons, the messages that the book is designed to give to us. And so we will forever be in the dark. And so this is, again, this is the opening video. This is the originating video of this channel in its second go round. My plan is to be a lot more engaged. And so, no, not everybody is going to believe it. Not everybody is going to accept it. And that's fine. There is nothing that everyone should accept 100%. The question that you will have to answer for yourselves as you hear my words, as you see what I'm showing you, is, does it make sense. And if it makes sense, then my hope is that you will continue to walk with me down this path. And if it doesn't, then feel free to give it up and find something that makes sense to you. Okay. Christ is a power that dwells within each man. Christ is a power that is within each and every one of us. And so Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And when we understand what that means, then this will make a lot more sense. And so, again, this is going to be a ride. It's going to be a journey. I invite all of you to walk with me, to go down this journey with me. So I'm glad to be back with you. And hopefully this will make sense to you. And until then, this is Paul Young saying, flee from the crowd and dwell with the Christ within you. Christ in you, the hope of glory.